So my name is Will Motivation. At least that's what I go by on YouTube. From Central Ohio. I've got two kids that are now 18 and 20. One boy, one girl. Love them to death, and being a father is one of the most challenging but yet rewarding things that life has to offer, man. I tell my kids, you know, I can be good and I can have all of my own accomplishments, but if my kids aren't good, then it neutralizes any of my accomplishments. So super important to me, man. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to be
Wow.
here.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's cool. So let me ask you, man. I mean, you are, it's seemingly a serial entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
this is something I'm always curious about. Because watching you, I mean, so I guess I'm gonna geek out a little bit. Let everybody know. I mean, I've been following you on YouTube for years now. Just
Appreciate it.
watching your videos and the progress, and I really got into it because the concept of real estate and the passive income hits really heavy with me. And so that's my main goal right now is to get to that point where I can start to. I mean, when I get to the point where I can actually like take advantage of your course and all the stuff you got going on. So that's a real big deal for me. But I always wonder, someone who's a serial entrepreneur, you have three businesses. For the people who don't know, you're being super modest, but I'm gonna blast you out there. You have three businesses, and you are putting in that work, man, and it shows obviously from everything that you do. How do you find yourself? Like, how do you balance it all with your kiddos? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the hardest balance, to be honest. But to back up a little bit, like I've been divorced for since 2009. So raising my kids pre-divorce
Hmm.
was a lot easier than raising them
Yeah.
post-divorce, right?
Hmm.
But so I have like one main business. It's a social networking business that has turned into a big diversity recruitment business, and that eats up most of my time with regard to the other two businesses. But I started that company when uh, before my kids were born, but it was my daughter was born 1 year after I started my company. So I had to juggle new marriage, new children, and then my son was born like 2 years later, and I had a 9 to 5, a new business, new wife, and two new kids and a family, right? So I was doing all of that up until 2004, man. And I'm gonna be honest. I think I I think I did a good job from a balance perspective with time with my kids,
Yeah.
but maybe not as much time like with my ex-wife trying to figure out what she needed from a time
Mhm.
perspective and all
Yeah.
that good stuff. But I think I did. I think I balanced it basically. So how do I do it, man? Like, and this is like a long story to where I am today. But I'll be honest, man. All of my free time. So I cut out a lot of the other stuff that I would be doing.
Oh.
So like there wasn't a whole lot of travel going on, none of that. There wasn't no partying and stuff going on, not for me. You
Right.
know
Right.
what I'm saying? There wasn't a party going on. It wasn't no TV watching, time wasting, none of that. So it was 9 to 5, come home, kids, dinner, 9 o'clock bedtime, 9:30 I'm on the computer working on my business, 3 o'clock go to bed,
Wow.
then wake up, do it over again, and but my kids always had that time. And so that's how I balance that. Like I said, the marriage thing that ain't work out. Like I think you got to be with somebody that's on that same
Yeah.
grind and same page. But then post marriage, man, I had the business, I had my kids, and it wasn't so much a balance because we had shared parenting, so I had plenty of time to do my business stuff.
Right.
But it was trying to make that time I had with my kids quality time and knowing
Mm.
what works for them. So yeah, and up to this, now I started two more businesses. Um, but I think what I try to do with my kids, like, is as they got older, it was a matter of, hey, I'm here. Like I'm intentionally, I live close to where you're at. I am intentionally here. So if you pick up the phone, or you text me, or whatever, or you come over, I'm here, and you have priorities. So if you need something,
Right.
I'll stop working. I'll stop doing whatever I'm doing to talk to you or spend time with you or do whatever. And so, but sometimes kids don't know how to leverage that. They see you as being busy,
Right. Right.
um,
Right.
and all those kind of things, man. But I try. My kids have been a priority, but I definitely, I can't say I was perfect with how much, I'm a workaholic. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So it's been a challenge juggling that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can't. I mean, like, we can't say that any of us are, right? Like figuring out that process in the beginning, especially, you're for the most part. How old were you when you had kids? You said you got a 20-year-old. How old are you,
I
man?
got 20. Yeah, I'm 47.
Lies,
Yeah, I'm about to be 50 in
lies,
a minute, bro.
man.
I try not to have too many
Faithfully.
bad habits. I don't smoke, and I rarely drink on vacation. That's about it.
Wow, wow, wow.
But
Okay,
uh,
okay.
but yeah, I'm 47. My kid, yeah, I got 20-year-old. So how old was I when I had kids, man? I was 27.
27. Wow.
Yeah.
So in that time, you're really, I mean, and I'm assuming here, but for me personally, you're discovering yourself. Like you get to the point where I think all of us, right? Where you say, I'm 18, I'm an adult now. And you get to like, you think you got it, right? And then you jump up, you go, I'm 21. Oh, I got this. I got this adult thing going on. And then you get to the next level when you realize, okay, I didn't know half the things I thought I know, or at least the things that I should have known. So at that age, I mean, you know, having kids, having essentially everything new kid, new wife, new business, the whole 9 yards. Looking back on it now, what do you think you've learned most about yourself since having kids?
There's the bad things and the good things, right?
Okay, okay,
So, on the good side, I learned that I can focus. I'm highly focused.
okay,
I
nice.
can focus that because I noticed that's like a differentiator. That's a difference maker. The
Yeah.
people that can focus like a laser, they're the ones that can achieve their goals faster. The
Mm,
people that can't focus because they get distracted by all of the different things going on, they either don't reach their goal, or it takes them longer. So with everything that's going on, one thing I learned about, I guess, good about me, I can focus. And if it needs to be focused on the kids, cool. If it needs to be focused on work, cool. The bad thing I learned, but I turned it into a positive, but I had to learn patience. I wasn't very patient. If I could go back in time, and I grew up in a household where old school, like we got whoopings and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I didn't like getting a whooping, so I try to be good. Because I
Uh,
knew it was coming down like the rat. Everybody it would get violent. So but that was normal when I was growing up.
right.
With
Well, you
me,
an
not
island
only
kid too, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, they would get yeah.
uh,
So for me that was normal, and so with my kids, I never had to whip my daughter like that, but my son got it a couple times.
yeah,
And in retrospect, when I look back on it, I say, you know what? If I had to do that over again, I don't think I would have, like, because the problem is when you're mad and you whip your kids versus just spanking them
yeah,
because you're trying to teach them something or whatever and get them to react the right way. But when you're mad, that's not the right time to be putting your hands on anybody. So unless you're defending yourself. So
right,
so
right.
I think in retrospect, I learned that I needed to be more patient, and just because it was normal for me to get a whooping and that kind of thing doesn't mean it's the right thing, with your kids. Now, like I said, for my daughter, it wasn't, but at the same time, she was there. So, getting your senior siblings get a whooping is almost the same as you getting one.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, so for her, she feel like she, they didn't need that, right? And in retrospect, that's one thing, patience. But once I make up my mind and once I see like, okay, I need to not do that, right?
yeah.
Then I'm the kind of person that I'm disciplined enough
Mm,
to not do that. But I had to, and that was a difference between me and my ex-wife, so that was a challenge. But looking back, man, I had to learn patience, man.
Yeah.
I had to be patient with my kids. But at the same time, like I was the guy with my kids, man. My kids was quiet, like they wasn't trying, like
Right.
they wasn't,
They
like I
already
don't
do.
have kids. My kids weren't running around doing no
Yeah.
crazy stuff and So for like I thought that was the right thing, but in
Hmm.
retrospect, man, I would have been a little bit more patient.
Yeah, that's interesting. So with that, I mean, like I said earlier, it's like I tried all the routes, right? Like I literally I would look around and friends, my ex-wife and I at the time, like look at how they do it, right? And figuring, okay, this is what I saw over here. Let me try this. It was like, I went through the process. I went through, patriarchy, militant dad. I even tried the I'm home, give me a beer and don't nobody talk to me. Like I literally just trying to figure out the process, right? And for me, I feel like my kids have taught me a lot about myself. Like I have two girls, and they first of all they softened me because I came out, I came out hard. Like I came from the islands to the Bronx, and that was my transition. So it's like just hard. Everything hard exterior. You got to prep yourself for anything, right? And I feel like in that whole process, the gift I would say that my kids brought to me was that they taught me how to bring it down. I
Yeah,
brought it down. They taught me how to like just be mellow, be cool. Stuff's gonna break. Stuff's gonna get messed up. There's gonna be paint on the wall. I mean, it's gonna
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
You got to handle that, right?
yeah.
So I'm curious to know what is the most rewarding part I would say for you about being a dad.
And I mean, it's simple, man. I just like to see my kids happy, man. I just like to see my kids smiling. Um, like some parents they want to see their kids like win awards and trophies, and I want my kids to be academically, I
Mm,
like to see my kids do well in school and that kind of thing. But if I can just be around when my kids are happy because they're enjoying life and they're pleasant, for me I'm simple when it comes to that.
yeah.
I'm simple when it comes to that. I do want to see my kids be reach their potential, because I don't like when you a lot of times like I have family members, and we all have different blessings, right? We all have things that we're good at that we can exploit, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I would love to see my kids reach their full potential with whatever their gifts are.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Especially if that's something that they want to do. So that would bring me beyond just my kids being happy,
yeah.
but to give me that peace, that comes from having children. It would be, to see them successful and reaching their potential.
Nice. I dig it. I
Yeah,
dig it.
man.
So for you, how did you get to this point? Because I mean, obviously your background defines a lot of who you are. You do get to decide, whether or not you go this road or that road. In your background, your upbringing, how did your parents influence who you are today?
Oh man, my parents, man, they did an awesome job if you ask me. I got siblings and everything. We all turned out having different interests and doing different things and that, but I feel like my parents did. No parents are going to be perfect, right?
Right.
So if your parents can prepare you and support you with the basics and give you an environment where you can build some self confidence, know and kind of know who you are and what you're capable of, and give you those basics. Man, my parents did an awesome job with regard to that, man. And they, some kids like, and this is the hard thing for parenting.
Yeah.
When you grow up a certain way, like I grew up, I listened to what my parents said. Like I was the one sibling, that was like, okay, they say you should go graduate from high school and go to college and blah blah blah. Okay, let me try that because everybody else doing their own thing. You know what I'm saying? So for me, for me, I was that they said do something. I was trying to do it. I wasn't a perfect kid either, but I kind of listened to them, and their advice turned out to be good for me. You know what I'm saying? So now being a parent and having a 20-year-old who just pulled up, she's probably gonna come in here and think about getting counseling or something. This is my counseling session.
Yeah.
but uh, but but everybody's different, you know. So like sometimes it's hard to relate, you know, especially with her being a female, and then her having to growing into who she is as a person, and uh, and then knowing how I was and why I did what I did, but then trying to raise someone that might not have that same viewpoint. That's a
Mm-hmm.
that's a challenge, you know.
Mm.
But you gotta try to figure it out to do the best you can, guiding them, you know.
Yeah, yeah, because that's two different households too. I mean, so there's influences on both sides. It's so
Yeah,
interesting. I,
yeah,
I have I have this talk all the time, right? And I say it all the time because I think about the fact that adults are just kids who grew up. Like, like when you're younger, like there's such a hard separation, right? Like that's an adult. They know stuff, right? Like they're filled with knowledge and shit. It's like, nah, man, I'm still figuring it out too. Like
right,
when you think about the fact that you are just, like 27 years ago, you were, a kid, you're 20 years old. Like,
right.
so thinking about all that, when you go through the process of like the things that you went through in your life, you were, you had to work, you have, your parents on your side and things of that nature. I'm sure there are moments in your life where you experience things that either your parents couldn't help you with, or they probably didn't have the opportunity to prepare you for, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you think of things that you went through, the tough times, what is your biggest fear for your kids?
Man, as it compares, my fear for my kids as it compares to challenges that I actually don't have the fear of the challenge for them of what I went through, which
Right.
for me was the biggest thing was going through a divorce
Okay, interesting.
that I wasn't prepared for, that I didn't have no idea what I was doing, and
Did you
was
go through a messy divorce or was it pretty amicable?
kind
Yeah.
of, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't worry about that for my
Yeah.
kids. My biggest worry is um, I just want them to be good, like I said, and reach their fullest potential. And the decisions that you make early on can either delay that,
Yeah.
prevent it, or prepare you for it,
Mm, that's very
right, right. So you know, formative years. So you know, that would be my biggest fear is them not, because like I feel like with me personally, I feel like I've done what I set out to do. I've accomplished most of what I set out to do, but my biggest accomplishment would be that they can do that.
yeah.
Not that just it stops right here. My
Mm,
biggest accomplishment would be that. So my biggest fear is that not coming.
them not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're not achieving whatever it is they set out. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
'cause
That's
all
tough.
of us have different goals, right?
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
that would be it, man. But it does. But like for what I had to deal with, um, I think having a basic, like I had a basic thing that was in me growing up, which was around reputation and respect. You know, like protecting my reputation. Um, you know, and gaining people's respect, even if I didn't get their automatic respect based on what they thought my reputation might have been. So I had to show them who I am. So me going through that whole process kind of like built me up and everything. And so I'm trying to teach my kids to have that, because if you have that, I feel like if you have that basic thing, that you protect your reputation, because your reputation is going to open doors for you or close doors in your
Yeah.
face. If you have that and then you take that with you in everything that you do, then you'll have doors that open,
Yeah.
you know, if you do things the right way and you protect that reputation. So that's a big thing for me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I feel you, and it shows. I feel like it shows. I mean, like I said, I've been following you for a minute, and it seems like everybody you come in contact with has the same feedback. It's like, yeah, good dude on all bases, right? And I always wonder because you think about the things that mold you in life, right? Like like I said, for me, I got divorced and I did a terrible job at being married. Like terrible. And one of my biggest fears is like, or not biggest fears, but I would say one of the things I'm apprehensive about is the fact that I'm gonna have to talk to my children one day about a lot of those things that I did,
How old are your kids?
Right now they're 5 and 6.
Okay, yeah.
So I got a little bit of time, but it's like, one day I'm gonna have to, because daddy did some foul stuff, and daddy's gonna have to talk to you about this. And that is one of the things that not only motivates me to continue growing as a human being, because I know that at the time my brain wasn't on that, right? Like I wasn't seeing it that way. I was seeing it as very selfish, very, this is what I need, this is blah, blah, blah. And I don't want my kids to act that way. I pray that they don't go acting that way, because it's not good for any person in general.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious, because when I think about, like, you said earlier, you went through a divorce, you've been through the process. How did that transition go for your kids? Like, how did you, I guess, nurse them through the process?
Well, you everybody kind of comes up with if they care,
Yeah.
come up with your game plan. And so my game plan was to ease the impact.
Okay.
So I didn't want to just disappear one day. I didn't want to just, where's dad at? Why is dad over here?
Right.
So my strategy was to try to ease into it by, I got a condo, I started, hey, let's go over there for the weekend. We got another place to go hang out, and it slowly, and it appeared to work. But I think in the long term, when I look back in retrospect for that, I don't know that I would have done it the exact same. I don't know that I would have done it the same way, because I think sometimes when you prolong things, you can create sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like kids can get used to a certain thing instead of making what it's going to be, make that the norm early, so that they don't get used to this quasi thing or the fake thing. You know what I'm saying? Get the real thing, and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes if they're of the age where they can understand that conversation, it's okay to have it, because they're going to understand. If they're not of the age, then hey, but they know that they're protected, that they're cared for, and all of that, the things that they will understand.
Yeah.
No, dad's not leaving your life. Mom's not leaving your life, but dad's going to be over here.
Yeah.
Mom's going to be over here, and but you're good. That kind of thing. So in retrospect, yeah, I think it on the and at that point in time, everything was according to my plan, smooth. But I think as my kids got older, I look backwards and say maybe I shouldn't have done that, because it was kind of it was to ease the blow, but at the same time, it was, I think the faster they realized what was going on, maybe could have been better.
Yeah.
That norm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So that's I always wonder about that, like, right? Because as a man in general, the stigma is we have a hard exterior, we have a hard shell. Our feelings aren't necessarily close to the surface, and so we don't necessarily care.
I like
right?
That. Feelings are not close to the surface. Not like that. I've never heard that.
So it's like, when you think about that, and you think about everything that you've gone through growing up, and remind me again. So are you originally from the U.S.? Okay.
Yeah. My grandfather immigrated to Miami from Bahamas.
Okay. And maybe you can enlighten me a little bit to your childhood, like as far as what you experienced growing up. It doesn't, we all, the whole thing is like, man, y'all kids had it easier when you were growing up, right? Every generation says it. You don't know nothing about no struggle. Remember when, we had Y2K, remember that? The world was going to blow up, that part. You know what I'm saying? Like, our kids are going to go, we lived through a pandemic. Y'all kids don't know nothing about that, right? And their kids are going to go, my hologram stopped working. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how it's going to be. And I always wonder, like, what are the, or I guess what's one really big moment in your life that helped to mold who you are today? And when I say big, it positive, negative, like I think of situations where I almost drowned. Like I almost drowned when I was a kid. I remember it very vividly because I thought I had it and I didn't. Like learning how to swim, I grew up on the islands and we would just work our way out, get a little deeper, swim back in, get a little deeper, swim back in. And I
Mm-hmm.
went too deep and I tried to swim back in and I thought I had it. I put my foot down and I went under. I came back up and the struggle was real. I didn't have the stamina I needed. So luckily, one of my friends was there and actually pushed me in my back and got me that extra, I don't know, 3 feet that I needed to get back to the point where I was able to touch the ground and kind of hop my way back over. But I think about that moment like that would have been it.
Mm-hmm.
So what is one moment that you think about in your childhood that you go, man, that's something that helped to bring me to who I am today? Because now I don't play around. Like,
Yeah, I would say um it was a theme that I had growing up. There I can't say there was a moment like a one moment thing, but there was a reoccurring theme of not having money, like
oh,
for basic stuff. Like I could tell you some of the moments that all were tied to that, like going to school, kids from the same neighborhood with look like less, money, but they got school clothes and stuff.
yeah,
Whereas, I go to school and I'm wearing the same jeans and clothes, multiple times in a week. You know what I mean? And so then the kids start to pick on you,
yeah.
and kids. So that being a theme, all the way to another moment. I remember in high school, I made the basketball team. I came home. You got to get the outfit, the shoes and stuff, right? Shoes was $65. I came home, told my dad, "Hey, got good news. I made the team, but we got to get these Nikes. They cost $65." And my dad went off on me. Like he went all the way off. And that was one of them moments because I remember thinking like, wow, like it's not my fault that the shoes cost $65. It's also not my fault that they're making us get these shoes. And I wanted to be happy that I made the team. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
but it was a lot of moments like that having to do with not having money for stuff. That made me think to myself every time those moments came, like I'm not gonna be broke when I get old. That's not gonna be my problem. I might have some other problems, but that's not gonna be it. So
yeah,
I'm gonna try to figure it out. So I had a lot of those kind of. I could tell you a bunch of stories, man. Like, but some good came out of it because like I had to get creative. Like when I was the kid that had the worst clothes, I was also the kid that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna show these kids like for one, they're not gonna pick on me. So I'm gonna show them that I know how to fight, whatever. Like, or I'm gonna show these kids that I know how to do sports, or I'm gonna show these kids that I know how to play musical instruments and stuff, and I have talents, so
yeah.
that they forget the fact that I'm the poor one with the worst clothes, and
Ooh,
they remember me based on this reputation I create around. You gotta respect me. Don't play with me. The number two, I have other talents and stuff.
yeah,
So you can like me for that and not be thinking about my clothes. So I had to like develop character
yeah.
because of some of those struggles and stuff. I still don't know. It's funny, man. That when I didn't get those shoes for the team, I told I don't know who paid for my shoes, but it wasn't my dad, but I got the shoes, but I had to give them back at the end of the year. I remember that.
Yeah.
So somehow I got the shoes, but I had to give them back.
There you go. See, that's that traumatic. That's that trauma. You blocked it out. You don't even remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but yeah, that was the thing, man. That was the formation of this, you know, the hustle I have that I'm not going through that,
yeah.
I'm not going through this uncertainty of where, you're gonna pay for the basics and stuff. I didn't like that, man, coming up as a kid.
That's so funny. I mean, and then it's the blessing and the curse, right? Because on one hand, yeah, that was something serious, but on the other hand, here you are now, you're XYZ. and you have this mindset that probably contributes to the person you are today and
Definitely,
everything you have today. So
definitely.
it's so full circle. Like for me, it was dance. Like I jumped into dance. I was like, I'm a entertain, right? That was my thing. I wasn't necessarily a fighter. I didn't like fighting. I had to fight too many times, just you know, but I never went looking for it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it was the same thing. You had to get something to X, Y, Z, and so on and so on and so forth. And that little thing, my little dancing thing, turned into now I'm teaching dance. Now I got a gig performing a dance. Next thing I know, I'm on set of this show and this show and this show, and then it like just escalated to allow for those opportunities.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to know, and your family, your parents, do you ever or have you ever asked them, and this might be this might be different for island parents, right? Have you ever asked them about their dream, like if they had a dream or anything that they wanted to go after? Like, have you ever had that
For
thought?
them personally,
Yeah, yeah, for their lives before
we've
your
talked.
kids came and took over. No, I'm just
Yeah. Yeah. We knew about my parents' dreams, and um, we knew about them because they would talk about their dreams. So we didn't really even have to ask,
Okay,
because we kind of knew. Like for my dad, it was he he had a record company, a music business,
nice.
and his dream started to come true. And it had more to do with some shady, because that music business is shady, right?
Man,
So so it had more to do with some pitfalls there than it did, him having kids and that kind of thing. And then my mom, I think she wanted to have, you know, it wasn't a career thing for her. She wanted to live in a nice house. You know what I'm saying? So even though we kind of was broke growing up
yeah,
and everything, um, she came to love the house that we lived in, and doesn't want to move to this day. Even though she could have a nicer house. You know what I'm saying?
right, right.
So, but that was kind of like her dream, and my dad's dream, and I think I definitely learned from both of them, having those dreams, but then them not, why didn't they reach those dreams? I
Mm.
learned from that, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little different, I have to kind of, it makes me reflect, for my own kids, what are they going to learn from me about,
Mm.
like, because I'm living my dream,
Yeah, yeah,
um, but I had to put in a lot of work that they might not remember, can't see
yeah.
before, to be where I'm able to live the dream, and that's what I'm trying to, that's what I'm trying to share. But it's a small percentage of people that want to put in the kind of work that I had to put in. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm with you there. I had a failed business, or I went through the process and got it up to the point where it was actually doing its thing, and fell off hard, just not putting in the work, and had the opportunity to essentially just back on it. Like I know the process, so I know how it works. I
Hmm.
know beginning to end. I can walk in, I can start a business, I can make it happen, and and just knowing that the magic ingredient that I've learned and the thing that I focus on right now is consistency.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like that's the sprinkle. Like whatever it is, you have a flower shop. You hug people for a living.
Hmm.
Just consistently be the person that gives out hugs,
Yeah,
and something's gonna set it off to allow you to be the person that gives out hugs on the highest
yeah,
caliber in the world.
yeah. I could give you examples. I recognize that in people. There was a kid. He was a kid at the time, that I mentored, that had that. He had that, not going to quit until I get it, and then he's going to keep going. So once I saw that, and as a part of his personality, I knew that it's just a matter of time for people that are consistent, that keep going and keep trying when it comes to business. It's just a matter of time before you try, try this, try that. you learn from the things that don't work, and then you hit on something that works, and you just keep going. So eventually you're going to hit something that works, and you keep doing it with that consistency, and then you're off to the races. And I saw that early in him, man. He used to try all kind of stuff. I was like, you know what? It's just a matter of time before he hits something that's going to work, and he's going to be very successful. Because the reason why a lot of people in entrepreneurship don't succeed because they quit before before they reach the success that they're trying to reach. If
Yeah,
you keep going, the odds are you'll reach whatever success. If you keep going, if you quit, 100% chance you're not going to get it.
hundred
So
percent.
yeah, that consistency is crucial.
Man. So, do you see that in your kids?
Ah man, that's with my yeah, that's
Oh man.
yeah, that's now I'm gonna be keep it real, man. Because
Yeah.
this is one of the challenges, because I was raised different, um, and I think like I was exposed to a lot of different things, right? And that's something almost I don't even know. You can tell somebody that. You can say if you're consistent, then
Yeah.
you'll do good. You can also tell them don't quit, right?
Uh-huh.
But how do other than being an example
Yeah.
and then telling them, what else can you do? And that's where I'm like here to learn something like in life, just in general. But for me, like I listen to people. Like if somebody told me, I had an uncle when he was alive, he would say, "Hey, let me give you this advice and that." And I would just listen. Like even if he didn't achieve something, I knew where it was coming from. It was
Right.
coming from a place where he had no reason to tell me anything but something to help me. He
Mm,
had no ulterior motive. So I had to just listen, like, well, what is he telling me? And a lot of times when people fail, they can teach from their failure. And if they win, they can teach from their win, right? This is what I did to win. And then when they fail, this is why I failed.
mm,
And this is what you want to avoid. So you can learn something from everybody who's willing to share that doesn't have some kind of so how like people that would tell me stuff, man, I would just listen and I would apply whatever I could to whatever I was doing, man. And the one scenario when I didn't listen to somebody that was trying to tell me something, I had one person that tried to tell me something
uh-oh.
about, going down the road to getting a divorce and that kind of thing.
Okay.
I had one person that came to me to try to kind of guide me, and that was the one time I didn't listen, man,
Yeah.
because I thought where he was coming from, was tainted. Like I thought he had hard feelings about the whole thing. So yeah, man. So yeah, to keep it real, man. Like um, I'm not sure I see it yet. But but there's influences,
Yeah.
right? Mom could be like this, dad could be like this.
Mm-hmm.
I got to figure it out for myself. Um, and like I said, you could tell somebody, hey, be consistent, don't quit, this kind of thing. You can show them, right? But you can't make people. You can't be a puppet master. You can't control
Right.
people.
Yeah.
So you just gotta hope that they can figure it out faster, sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Oh, see, that's a big deal right there. Because earlier in the game, I mean, we all talk about it, right? Like you've said it before, I'm sure. Yo, if I would have known that when I was fill in
Yeah,
the blank, right?
yeah.
Um, one. So off of that for a second, I'm curious, and this is something that's actually I had the question earlier and I kind of forgot it, but this is something that I've always been curious about. It's a totally different subject. You're an example of hard work pays off, and with that comes the ability to live a little. So you know, if the people are living under a rock and they don't know who you are, they you I mean, you flip houses, you have, your social media company, and you have your, refresh me again,
Software.
software. Yes, because that was the one. You went back and did your coding. So here's the thing I'm curious about. You have a beautiful home. You have several beautiful cars. I
Thanks.
mean, that's where I live. That's car world all day. So You got the Lambo, you got the Rari now, you got the surprise coming that I'm waiting to see. um,
Yeah, very soon. It'll be at that show.
oh man, see that's tempting me to get out there, man. I might
Yeah.
have to load up my kiddos and head out there. I don't know. We'll see.
I think it would be. I think it'd be a nice trip. Columbus is a nice place too.
Oh, I know. I love it. I love road trips. So I mean, you put me in front of a bunch of cars. So and yeah, my lady actually has a thing for me set up in June where I'm finally getting to drive a Huracan, like
Nice.
at one of these. So I'm like, whew, geeked.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. That's a good choice. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, man. But I wonder, how do you keep your kids, or maybe it doesn't even affect them in that way. But when your dad, you know, when your dad drives a Lamborghini today, a Huracan tomorrow, a TRX the next day, like, and he's business is there, he's traveling here, he's traveling. Do you find it challenging at all to keep your kids grounded? Do you have that problem even, or is it kind of the norm for them where they don't even like it's just dad, it's just a
Man, that's a interesting question. Like because with like when I'm with my kids,
mhm.
they're grounded. You know what I mean? But you don't know when you're not with them.
Yeah.
You have other influences and other people around who
Mhm.
might happen to know who dad is or what dad drives and that kind of thing. You don't know what they're you don't always know what they say to your kids or what your kids feel pressure to
Right.
act like. So it's hard because I don't know like that side because I haven't seen that.
Mm.
But you know, I haven't had a problem because I don't my thing is you're blessed because, you know, from my kids' perspective, you're blessed because like, I couldn't go to my dad and say, Dad, can you give me a job? You know, can if I want this thing, can I earn it? You know, let me do something to earn it. I didn't have that luxury. I had to go out and figure it out kind of like, you know, but my parents couldn't like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But
I
in
didn't
this case, they do have that luxury. Like you could have like pretty much, you know, like let's say my daughter wanted to drive something nice. All right, all right, I'm not going to just write a check and say, okay, yeah, because
right.
but if you want to put in some work and show that you are learning what it takes to be able to have something, then I'm with you. Like I can get behind that. But if it's not that, I'm not. It's not happening. You
That's
know, I'm nice to an extent, but it's not going to be. You know, it's not going to be like you know.
right, right.
No, no, no. So so from my eyes, I haven't had like you know to do that. You know, in front of me, like, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what happens when I'm not around, and the influences and things. You know, now I'm not super high profile around, but you know, I picked up my daughter probably twice from high school in the car, and they probably, I imagine they probably like was saying stuff like that, but I never, my daughter was like real humble. My son is autistic, so he doesn't talk.
Right.
So that's a whole different type of parenting. Like I don't have to worry about a lot of the typical stuff,
Yeah.
but you have to worry about a different type of thing. And so, you know, the best way I have to look at that situation is that I have a lot of blessings. You know, I have a lot of good things that happen for me, and so then I have to be a blessing to my son, you know, who's
Absolutely.
autistic. He's got some challenges, so that just goes with the territory, no problem, you
Yeah.
know. So so while I don't have challenges with him, you know, around like, you know, he loves to hang out with me and do whatever, shoot basketball or go for a ride or whatever. But the challenge there is the future. You know, how does the future look when I'm not here? You know, and just helping him to have the most fulfilling life that he can, and
Mhm.
even potentially, you know, overcome whatever biological thing
Yeah.
damaged him or whatever. So, so that's different, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, we all have like challenges, man. One thing in life, man, if you look at somebody and they look like their life is great,
Hmm.
best believe there's always some challenge if they
Always.
care about anything, right? Because it might not be like for me in my life, like my life for me is good, but the fact that I got family that I care about and people that I care about makes their challenge my challenge a lot of times, you
Absolutely.
know. So so yeah, that's and that's part of being parenting, man.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. That's interesting. Now I do have a question for you,
Hmm.
and this is this is a little this is a little selfish one.
Go for it.
Girl dad to girl dad. What do I have to look forward to, Will? Now, like, have you? I mean, kind of touching on what we just talked about. Like, your daughter is, your daughter picks up kids every once in a while. You'll pick her up in something nice.
Yeah.
Um, you know, how do you connect with her? Like, especially when you start talking about boys. I mean, the world is transitioning right now to the point where the feminist, the movement is getting stronger, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, I love that because again, I'm a girl dad, so I win. Either way, I win, right? So, how do you maneuver that? Just the whole, because your daughter, I mean, she's there. I'm assuming probably in college or on her way to college.
Went in and came out.
Came out. All right, everybody
You
do
know.
theirs. Me too.
So
So,
it is
but
what
I
it
mean,
is.
still, right? Like at that point where, I mean, without sounding too wild, you can't really tell her nothing. She's a grown up.
Well, yeah, like
Okay.
and just decided to live with dad kind of thing. So,
Okay.
for me, like you gotta kind of look at it as an opportunity, man. But to answer your question, like how do I connect? Like for me, like my daughter likes to travel, so like I travel a lot, so I like to invite her with me
Okay.
and spend time. But I'm not a big like one thing I think my dad did better than me that I try to do more. My dad used to like he used to take me to music lessons and he would talk to me the whole time, like in the car ride to the lesson and coming home. And I think for him it was more therapeutic for him because he was dealing with a lot of stuff.
Mm,
So he would preach to me like everything he was dealing with, and I would just sit there and be quiet and listen. A lot of it was kind of like grown up stuff that was going over my head, but he would be kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of brain dumping on me
yeah.
stuff he was dealing with and what he was learning from it and just use I'm his son, so I'm right there. He's saying, and when this happens, you got to do this, and he would just be like the whole time when we would ride, and I would just be quiet. I was a little kid, so I kind of some of the stuff I didn't understand, but I think a lot of it sunk in,
Mm,
and a lot of it like this was a weekly thing. Every Wednesday, I think it was, he would take me to music lessons, and he would brain dump on me every time. And now with me and my daughter, like we have a lot of time together, like when we go on these trips and stuff. But I'm not a big talker like that. Like I would if you ask me something,
yeah.
then yeah, I can read out. I can give you a brain dump if you ask me. If you
Right.
don't ask me anything, sometimes I am going on my own. I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to have just so I don't not that big. So when you think about how do I connect, but at the same time, so you have that time. So if she wants to talk, I'm right there to listen.
Yeah.
But then I'm one of those. I'm kind of a realist. When it comes to like not super old fashioned. When it comes to okay, my daughter's 20, man.
Yeah.
Like she's got a boyfriend. She's went to college, lived with her mom, doing So she is gonna have eventually gonna have to have them conversations about sex and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I'm a realist. Like they got access to the internet. It's different now.
Yeah.
It's different. So they whatever you're gonna get ready to tell them, they probably already know.
Jesus Christ.
That's really like they
Don't
got
say
to
it
if they
like
got a
that.
cell think about it, they got a cell phone
Yeah.
and access to the internet and friends.
Yeah. That part.
So you have to be already like prepared to just keep it real
Mm,
and have those conversations um real. And like that's where that comes into play where you say the layers deep of the
huh. Uh-huh.
you're being softer, a little bit softer, with the girl.
Yep.
That's where that I think comes into play. You can have those conversations, but you can also build some trust and say real things like the conversation about getting pregnant, protection, all of these kind of things. And I've never really been afraid to have those conversations. I I don't like the thought of the realities sometimes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but you gotta say your piece to try to protect them as much as you can and give them and let them also know that you're not oblivious
Right.
to some of the reality. So So, like that's been my thing, man. And just being there, like my daughter, she asked me if she could stay with me. I'm saying, yeah, you can, but dad has got some rules and I have some expectations, and so, but I'm also still kind of hardcore, you know what I'm saying? Like, not that I'm giving no whoopings out or nothing like that, but I let life whoop you a little bit if
Right.
it has to, you know what I mean? Like before too long, because if I feel like the earlier you can let these things, as long as it's not super catastrophic, right?
Right.
Nobody dying or getting
Exactly.
pregnant and that kind of thing. But the earlier you can learn these lessons, I think, a lot of times it's better, right? Because you don't want to have somebody thinking everything is good and then they're 27 years old and still don't know how to operate.
Right. I agree with you on that one. Everybody
Yeah.
telling you pretty, and then somebody tell you one day you don't, you ugly, and you go, wait a minute,
Right.
wait a minute.
Yeah, I
You
thought
don't know
this
how to
too.
handle that.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's interesting. That is interesting, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel like there is the aspect of it where you have to kind of, not kind of, you got to be a realist. You got to just, these conversations have to be had. And like I said earlier, the world is transitioning. I mean, we are. I feel like, and I'm sure my grandfather probably felt the same way. My dad probably felt the same way. But I feel like we're advancing so quick now. I feel like things are moving a lot faster than when I was younger. Like the process felt like it took a while. Like it felt like between my first Nokia with the snake from the car phone was a long road, and now I feel like, the classic joke, right? They was like, forget the iPhone 9, we just jumping straight to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like that kind of deal. So I feel like it's moving quicker, and if you're not okay with having the real conversations, you're gonna mess around and you can't bury your head. You know,
No, no.
that's one of the
'Cause
things.
there's too many influences right now.
Oh my gosh, and they're heavy. And it's so heavy. They have so much. You said it perfectly. They have access. They have so much access to everything.
That we didn't have. Like I didn't
Right.
have no cell phone growing up. I had my first cell phone when I was out of college.
Yeah.
It was probably in my first year of work.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, it's I remember my first iPhone, man. I have been working for years.
I know. I know. My kids will flex on me. I got a 5 and 6 year old. They will flex on me like, Dad, do you know? This is one of the things I kind of miss that I don't have. Like I didn't get the opportunity to do that because I'd be like, Yo, Mom, what? Why does a tiger have stripes?
Yeah,
She'd be like,
yeah,
hey, I don't know. My kids will just walk in the living room. Hey Google.
yeah. We ain't have nothing like that. No, hey Google, nothing. Nah,
Like,
you
they
had to
look
go
like
walk
this.
to the library or something.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Hope they got some books.
Library. They'll never know about a library card.
Right, right.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So, um, for
Different.
you, you think this is something I want you to really think about this, okay? For Will, there's a Will right now, 27, got a new business, new babies, new wife, and he is in it. What advice do you have to give him?
First of all, keep going. Don't quit. But second of all, um, man, it's hard because I feel like if I feel like I made the right decisions,
Yeah.
but how fast I made those decisions, I think I would speed up
Oh.
because I think I waited to make certain decisions too long, which uh, which were not counterproductive.
Yeah.
So the advice I would give is, once you realize something is not right, be done with it. Um,
Mm,
because you can't, there's certain things you can't change.
yeah.
You can only control yourself. You can't control everybody else. You can be a good example and that kind of thing. You can
Right.
try to provide guidance, but so yeah, my advice would be keep going. Um, Stay true to yourself. And when you got to make a decision, make it, and don't be afraid. The consequences. Just keep being a good person.
Yeah.
But if you got to make a decision for the best, don't drag it out. Make that decision quick.
Facts, facts. Fair enough. Fair enough. Between the
Because
lines.
like it'd be a different story, like like if I crashed and burned and did something crazy or something. But I've managed a lot of stuff and things turn out better than I had anticipated. And a lot of things. So what could I say? Keep going, but at the same time, you there's some things you could do better as far as making decisions quicker,
Yeah.
not dragging things out, being afraid of the consequences of the reality
Yeah.
on other people.
Yeah.
You know, so can't worry about that. You got to just be true to yourself and what it is. Make them decisions quick. So that would be probably my only advice. And uh, yeah, that's right. That really, honestly, man, that would be it.
That's solid advice, man. That's solid advice. Sometimes you gotta jump on it.
You
You
got
gotta
to, yeah,
go
you got to make
down.
the decision. You got a
Yeah.
decision to make, and you already know it's the right decision, but you're
That,
trying to prolong it for other people's thing. Thinking about, which is considerate, and
yeah.
sometimes you think that's how you're supposed to be, but it's gonna be the truth is gonna be the truth.
Yeah.
Like the reality is the reality. So
That's
make your decision based off of that, man, and keep moving and trying to be a good, positive person.
yeah.
But yeah, make them decisions and go.
Make it happen. Just
Mhm.
confident, strong decisions.
Yeah, man.
I
Yeah.
dig it. I dig it, man. I dig it, dude. It's one of those things, man. I talk about it all the time. It's like having boundaries. I say it with my lady all the time. It's like I don't I don't I don't I never do anything like mean. I just have boundaries. So it's like, yeah, a lot of times I like to be able to just say, sure, yeah, I could do that, or go do that, or whatever the case may be. But I've had that part of my life where I didn't have good boundaries, and I've made decisions that then cause me damage. Like whether it be like now I'm too tired, now I'm late, now I'm running to this place instead of briskly walking to there like I wanted to be. I didn't set the boundaries and I allowed things to come in and disrupt what I was doing, which sometimes that is just what it is, but knowing when to go, no.
Mhm.
And just I understand this might hurt
That's
your
huge.
feelings or make you feel
That's
weird, but
huge.
I gotta say no because what I have to do next
Yeah,
requires this time that you're looking to get
that's
from me
huge.
right
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big one. Yeah,
now.
I struggle. I struggle with that in business a lot of
Yeah.
times. Yeah, saying no to clients that want to do all kind of crazy stuff that's going to kill me and stuff. And sometimes I have that, but that's a huge one, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Wow. 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 So, what do you have coming up, sir? What do you have? Anything you want to shout out? I mean, besides the surprise that I'm still waiting to see. You getting rid of the? If I understand you correctly, you getting rid of the Rari, or is it gone already?
Nah, it's staying.
You wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I thought you were selling that bad boy. I was so
Nah,
confused.
no, no, no. It's this thing. I was thinking about it.
Okay, okay,
I'm a
okay.
businessman, so
Yeah, yeah.
everything, if but nah, that car is actually a really good. I got it for a really good. I got equity in the car. I'm
Nice.
I'm good with that.
Red good.
We got the YOLO, you only live once
Yeah, yeah.
vehicle, which is gonna be. I think it's gonna be. It's not nothing like I'm not jumping like way up. It's just a step up from what I had last.
Oh
Um,
boy.
yeah, so that's gonna be fun. But no, man, really, I'm, so I got a couple big things going on like that will come out like on my channel. I think like because
Mhm.
usually I leverage the channel, man. It just if I'm making business moves and stuff, I like to share them with people. So one thing I'm thinking about doing is opening up a wrap shop, like to wrap vehicles, which would be dope for my YouTube content,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely.
I'm thinking about maybe doing that. Another thing I'm looking at is there's a huge Christmas tree farm that my neighborhood backs up to, which is beautiful, right?
Okay.
It's for sale and it's like 30 acres. So I could build some expensive houses on that property. So it would be a big level up for me to
Whoa.
be able to buy the land behind my house
Yeah.
and turn it into $1 million homes or, six figure, like $700,000 homes, that kind of thing. Um, so I'm going to go through the process, and I'm going to share that process with people on my
Mm,
YouTube channel. So I'm literally going to try to actually buy a big piece of land and develop it with some expensive houses. So we'll see. It's a sort of a, it's a half court shot.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I want it. I want to make the shot. You know what I'm saying? So it's a,
Yeah.
a real thing. The wrap shop, man, that would be easy, but you gotta hire people.
Hmm.
So that's the challenge for me. Like if I can get good people that's reliable that I can hire them and train them,
Hmm.
making that business pop where I'm at. Um, with all the people that's quietly got money around here, and
Yeah.
the car scene is getting bigger and bigger. That would be a slam dunk business, no questions asked, and it would be great for my YouTube. So those are a couple things I'm looking at, man, that I haven't announced yet, on my channel, but um, it's some stuff I'm really looking at getting into that could be pretty dope.
Dope. Dope. Dope. Well, let me make sure. So you want me to chop that part out?
Nah, nah, you can.
Okay.
Nah, that's nah,
Okay.
that's not no secrets or nothing.
Okay. 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 Cool. I don't
Nah,
want
we
to blow your
good. We good. Nah, we good, brother.
Oh man. Well, I can't, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this, man. Like I said before, like, dude, I look up to you. I mean, I've been following you for a minute, and the direction, the path that you've taken, I mean, from the, you know, off the record, this is kind of one of my things, right? Like I want to, this is my vehicle, right? So this podcast essentially transitions into apparel that is not necessarily you know I've done it. I've had a business before, and I've had the apparel that goes with the thing, and I feel like I've learned like it's not it doesn't really work that way, because you really have to be a fan of the thing in order to really want to buy the apparel.
Right, that's
So
correct.
now I'm trying to get to the point where it's more so it's a generalized concept. So instead of having dad did that apparel, it's just apparel for dads, moms, if it's, and eventually kids, et cetera, and just let that be the thing. So this is a vehicle for that. Then like I said, the next step after that is figuring out, or taking the first steps, I should say, to getting into my first real estate investment. And
Mhm.
I'm trying to be Will out here, man. That's all.
Hey, man, start with the basics, bro. The best for me. A lot of people would disagree with this. I think the best first investment is buy where you live.
Mm,
It's like a forced savings account.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like I bought my first house, $160,000 house.
Yeah.
That's where I was, got when I got married, had kids, and all that, the early days. And I still have that house to this day,
Nice.
and it's worth like almost 300 grand.
Jesus.
So I've been putting money. I'm paying the mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I didn't need the house anymore, I just turned it into a rental property,
Mm,
and then they pay the mortgage. But now the house is worth 280,000, and the mortgage is paid down to 60,000. So so
yeah.
so auto, you know what I'm saying? So like that's an investment now. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And that was a house that I lived in that turned into something that's now part of a portfolio. So but imagine if I had been renting, the whole
Right.
time,
Right.
uh, I wouldn't be able to go back and do anything with that. You know what I'm saying? So, and then when you get stuck, like that's how I really got in the game. When I bought that condo, was going through the divorce and stuff. I wanted to sell it, but it would have negative equity, right? Because the market crashed.
Crashed.
But
Oh
guess
yeah.
what? But guess what though? That's when I made millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I went all in. So if people willing to sell their house for that much of a loss,
Yeah.
oh, I know that's fake because
Mm,
people was willing to pay, 140,000 a year ago, and now
right.
you're telling me it's worth 100 grand. Let me
Right.
buy it. Let somebody sell me theirs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So no problem, no problem. That's how
Oh,
you. That's how you do it, man.
man, you got the right name, brother.
It's
Your
just,
nickname on point, man.
being out here and doing some things, and you learn some things that, like, it's like the stock market. I'm getting back in the stock market, but I think it's getting ready to crash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna go up, but it's probably gonna crash. But when it crashes, instead of quitting, like I quit the last time the stock market crashed.
Right. Right.
I got out. I was like, man, I have made about 4 grand
Uh-huh.
real fast. Then I lost about 4 grand, and then I got out. So instead of getting out, I should have bought more
Yeah.
when it crashed. I should have been buying that whole time.
Well, that's what they say, right? The only person that gets hurt on the roller coaster is the one that gets off, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, man.
that's how it is, man.
But yeah, best of luck to you with that, man. You can consider me a resource if you have questions. It's
Man,
all good.
I appreciate it, man. That's awesome. And I'll see if I can talk my lady into doing that trip out there.
Yeah, I think you would. I think if you do that, let me know. I'll make a recommendation on a nice hotel to stay at that's
Oh,
close to the event.
perfect, man. I appreciate it. Jeez,
Yeah,
man.
no problem, brother.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, I mean, I can't thank you enough, man.
Pleasure.
You're a motivation. I mean, you're an example, and I'm definitely grateful that you took the time to do this, man.
Oh, my pleasure, dude. Like I said, um, I'm I'm short on time, but if you're doing, I see something that I could be a part of that I kind of believe in, and and being a parent and a father is something that is important to me, and so I wanted to share whatever I could share,
Yeah,
for what you're doing, brother.
yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I know it's gonna help Lil Will out there right now.
All right. Yeah,
He just
I'm
did it.
hoping.
He just did it. He's getting back from his honeymoon right now, man. So I'm sure this is gonna be helpful, man. So
Appreciate it.
thank you, man. Well, I'll let you get back to the evening, brother. And yeah, more than likely, I mean, I'll probably see you out there soon.
Hey, let me know.
Get out there, man.
I'll look out for you.
All right, brother.
Okay,
Thank you so
take
much.
care.
Have a good night.
All right, you too, brother.